Welcome back to Blooming Aces podcast, everyone. Have you ever wondered how to navigate your social media to support your business or purposeful mission in this fast-paced digital world? I have a special guest expert today who can show you how. Her name is Blair Kaplan Venables. She is a social media expert and the president of Blair Kaplan Communications. Blair has recently been listed by Yahoo as a top 10 social media expert to watch in 2021. She has helped her customer grow their followers into tens of thousands in just 1 month, win Integrative Marketing Award, and more. She has spoken on national stages, and her expertise has been featured in media outlets such as CBC Radio, CEO Worldwide Magazine, She Owns It, and Thrive Global. It is such an honor to have her share her insight with us today. Without further ado, my name is Erna Blooms, your host today. Let's dive in. Hello, Blair. Welcome to our Blooming Aces podcast. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. How are you?
Great. I'm so excited to have you on our show today. We've been trying to plan to do this, and then you have a lot of things that I want to, dive into with your expertise.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm glad this happened. I feel like, we were meant to be friends, and I'm just so honored that you want me to be on your podcast and to share my words of wisdom, my edutaining words of wisdom with your audience.
Of course. Blair, just from the first time we met, I think especially so Blair and I, we met through this program with Selena Sue, and it's called Impact Accelerator. And then we just click, we had a connection call, and she always offer all this really great knowledge with the group whenever we do breakout rooms. So I'm like, you know what? We had a talking about Clubhouse, right? And then it's why don't you just come to my podcast, right? And I start talking about it and sharing it with our audience, So thank you so much for coming and spending the time with us today.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to dive in. And so the world is our oyster.
Yeah. So you guys, if you guys don't know, Blair Kaplan, let me get it. Venables.
Yeah, you did
Venables,
it.
Yeah. Venables. Okay. So she is a social media expert, and she is amazing. I'm going to put all the credentials below, and you guys have to check her out. Okay. She is amazing, and I cannot wait for you guys to learn along with me today. And so before we get going with the questionnaires, I want to ask you first about how did you end up doing what you do now? Were you always doing social media? How did you get into this space?
That's actually a really good question. It's so funny. So it's a bit of a story. Do I have some time to tell a bit of a story?
Of course.
Okay. So I'm from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. Yay. And I was working for a company called Lululemon Athletica. I'm sure if you've heard of it. So yes. I started work there in 2005. And while working there, I also worked in the bars, and I went to school for public relations. And so upon graduating school, I got promoted within the organization, and I went from Winnipeg, Manitoba to Edmonton, Alberta, and then to Vancouver, British Columbia. And that was a 3.5-year span. So when I went to school, social media marketing wasn't a thing. The previous summer, I spent the summer partying and working, I'm doing air quotes if you're not watching, working in Greece. Uh-huh. And I met a lot of Americans, because Canada, sometimes things happen faster and sometimes things are behind. It's just anywhere in the world, because Canada and America are pretty different. And so when Facebook first started, it was open to the American College Network. And so what do American college students do in the summer? Well, a lot of them end up traveling, and a lot of them ended up in the same place as I did. And so I met a lot of friends along the way that summer, and they're like, get Facebook when you get home. We'll share pictures with you. We'll stay in touch. So I'm like, I don't know what that is. It was still in the era of using an internet cafe to email home and not having a smartphone. So, I got home, and after 3 months of travel, and I got Facebook, and I started using it, and I was using it before any of my classmates or my friends. And so when I went through school for public relations, and public relations is the planned effort to influence public opinion through responsible action supported by two-way communication, social media marketing wasn't even a thing at all. And so fast forward to me being it, now 3.5 years into my career at Lululemon, social media marketing was just becoming a thing, but I wanted to move up and do PR. But moving up in the company was hard because the company went from private to public, and I was 23 years old with very little PR experience. So I did what any wild and crazy 23-year-old would do. And I left the company at the beginning of the recession in 2008 and started my business. Okay. So I started Blair Kaplan Communications as a PR agency. Now, did I know really how to run a business? No. Did I know how to do PR? Well, like, sort of, but only how many years experience did I have? But this is where the plot thickens. Lululemon, I don't know how it is now, but they used to give the staff free yoga. And so for 3.5 years, I had access to all this awesome stuff like free yoga. And so I left the company, and I still wanted to live my lifestyle, but at less of a cost, because I didn't realize how expensive yoga actually was. So I went around looking for a coupon book, like a health and wellness coupon book, and I couldn't find it. And so I was like, I'll make my own coupon book. I want free yoga. So I went to all the businesses in Vancouver that I was interested in trying yoga, like Paint and Sip, travel companies, fitness companies. And I said, hey, I'm making a coupon book for health and wellness. Do you want to be in it? And they all said, sure. So I did that. Wow. And so I got my free yoga, but that cost a lot of money because it was print. And then I switched to be an online model. And then, over the years, it morphed into kind of a group buy model and an online health and wellness community while building my PR company. So I was out and about networking. And anytime I met someone, my mind went to, you want to be involved in my coupon company? It was kind of like I put my PR company on the back burner. Yeah. I got really caught up in what I built because I innovated, and that was really cool. And I would meet with people, and immediately the conversation always went to my PR company and, oh, do you know how to use social media for marketing? And regardless if I knew how to do it or not, I said I did, and I figured it out. Yes. And so I quickly became
entrepreneurs right there.
Yeah. So like the coupon company no longer exists. Like, I don't advise anyone to start a coupon company. It was a really cool experience and put me on the map. There was this 23-year-old who built this like coupon community because she wanted free yoga. She innovated. She like used social media to grow it and networking. But also that was the time when social media marketing just became a thing. And so would I say I was a social media marketer? No, I'd be like, no, I do digital PR. I do social media PR. I'm not a social media marketer. I'm a PR person, but really it was social media marketing. But so that was about 13 years ago. Like my business in July turns 13. And so eventually I just embraced it. Right place, right time. I really loved it. And I'm not just someone who is like a knockoff social media marketer. I'm someone who went to school for public relations, who understands how to tell a story and build a connection. And I've translated those skills into the digital space, but I'm also a pioneer in the industry. So when a new network comes out, like when I was in Vancouver, Pinterest came out. Immediately the business community is like, do you teach Pinterest for business? And I said, heck yeah. And I had, set up workshops, and I figured out how to do Pinterest for business and taught people, and it's kind of like I'm not an outlaw, but like I was in the wild west of social media. I made up the rules, and things that worked, I kept doing, and things that didn't work, I stopped doing. And I follow people in the world of social media. And if they have an idea, and I think it's great, I replicate it or I enhance it. Like there's no real what works and doesn't work. Every business is different, but so that's how I got into it. So I started a PR agency, but immediately social media was my big target. So over the last few years, I've morphed into being a social media expert and mentor who empowers you, entrepreneurs, to up-level your social media skills to tell stories in the digital space.
I love that. Oh my gosh, that story is impressive. Like you just went yoga and then you started this whole community.
Yeah, like I woke up one day and I was like really stressed out, working really long days. Like people were complaining, like my coupon didn't work. And I was just like, I just wanted free yoga. I was like, oh my God, what did I do?
Yeah. That was really interesting. And I'm so impressed, like how you come to this, to this point. But that's a great story. I love thank you so much for sharing that.
Well, thank you for pulling it out of me.
Yeah. Now it's going to be on YouTube. So I want to actually ask you, so do you have a particular like social media that you love? Like, that is Instagram, Pinterest, how can you like break it down for all of us? That's like, what is social media? Like how do you break it down?
Well, okay. I think like we're talking business, right? Not personal.
Maybe both.
Okay. So I just want to say like, I'm an expert, but I don't know everything. Like I'm not good at Snapchat. I use Pinterest for personal. I used to know how to use it for business, as you saw from the previous example, but I can tell you what I use now and how I use them for personal and business, but it's going to be different for different people. But before I go into it, I don't want you to feel like, oh shoot, I got to get all these accounts. Like don't spray and pray. Okay. Make sure you have the capacity.
Yeah. Okay.
Take on things that you know and enjoy. And if it's for business, be where your customers are, not where you want to be. I mean, you have to enjoy it. If you don't like doing something, don't do it. Who cares? Because like the customers will come. There are lots of customers out there for you. Unless you have a very, very niche business, then I ignore that. Okay. So I love Instagram. So Instagram, my business is me. I'm Blair from Blairland. I use it for business and personal. And the way I do business on Instagram is I just share what my life is like. Camping, maybe a poem comes out. Maybe I took a picture that was nice, but I fell on a rock. Like, you know, maybe I'm launching a program. Like I mix it up. I let people in and it's like a 360 deep dive into my life.
Awesome.
Okay. So that's how I use Instagram. Now I've had questions about Instagram for business. Like, oh, I have a coffee shop. Like, should I also have a personal? Yes. People do business with people they like, know, and trust. Your business account is important because you have a brick and mortar or a physical brand or whatnot, but those are different, right? Selling coffee at a coffee shop is different than the owner of a coffee shop who might also go skiing and snowboarding and hiking and surfing and like to knit. Like, you know, let us in. So I think Instagram is really fun and really, really creative. Like I love Instagram. So I think every business professional should have a LinkedIn account.
Gotcha.
I post on LinkedIn once or twice a day, like when I'm in my flow. Like, you know, sometimes things happen and life gets in the way and I have to be careful with my time. You know, like I just lost my mother. So I took a step back from my marketing. So if you're listening to this episode, you're going to see some gaps in my posts. You know, I take care of myself. Social media can be a vortex. It can uplift you, but it can also drain you. But LinkedIn to me is like my business Rolodex. I meet someone at a networking event, on a virtual coffee date, or however it is. I mean, maybe one day we'll be out in person again. But what I do is I immediately add someone that I want to build a connection with on LinkedIn.
Gotcha.
And I share my expertise there. I share expertise from people I want to amplify. I share my expertise. I share my articles. I share my wins. I share my struggles. I ask questions. I share social media and public relations news. LinkedIn is the perfect place for you to build yourself up as a thought leader in your industry.
Gotcha.
Okay. Do I have a page? Yes. Do I use it? No. Should I use it? Yes. A business page for Blair Kaplan Communications. But again, I haven't built it up. And right now I'm about capacity because my job right now is to teach. And I actually have a LinkedIn expert in my network. So if someone's like, Blair, really want to learn more about LinkedIn, I can teach the strategy, and my colleague, my partner, because I believe in, lifting up others who are great at what they do. I can pass that person on to them.
Awesome.
Facebook. I've been on Facebook since a long time ago. But like, I use it for business. I have a page. I have a couple pages. My personal account, like, I'm very connected. I have over 4,000 connections, a lot of friends and family, a lot of people along the way. Some people who I haven't met yet, who maybe one day I'll cross their paths. Some people who I may never meet. I don't really know, but if I share stuff on my Facebook, my personal Facebook profile, but I try not to be too businessy.
Yeah. Gotcha.
I think Facebook and Instagram. Pardon?
Is Facebook a little bit more casual than the other platforms?
I go about all of it with a casual approach.
Okay.
Because I'm constantly telling my story.
I see.
So, but the thing is about Facebook and Instagram, you don't need to have a huge following. They have a brilliant ad platform. I know 7-figure businesses who have only a few hundred or a few thousand followers on their Facebook page, who mostly are there for ads.
I see.
So it's important to have an ad budget. If you have something like a lead magnet or a course or something specific that you want to, grab leads or make sales, running ads is really important.
Gotcha.
I use Twitter. I like it. Real-time communication. I have some cool experience in the Twitter space with businesses, launching radio shows on Twitter, using it for real-time communication for transportation companies. I like Twitter. It's not for everyone. It's just like 280 characters. It's like a news ticker. I go there when there's a big thing going on in the world about news. I go there first.
Yeah.
I only have one account there.
Gotcha.
Blair Kaplan PR. And then right now I'm into Clubhouse. I was really active on Clubhouse before my mom passed away, then I just had to take a break and I'm getting back into it. Things changed. Oh, I took basically a month off and like a lot of things changed. So Clubhouse is a voice only network. It's kind of like old school. Let's get on the phone and chat with each other. Either there's 3 of you or 3,000 of you or whatever. Yeah. You can have rooms, you can have clubs. They can be private, public. You can be, moderator room. You could have 10 moderators. You can have 20 speakers or beyond. There's lots of fun things to do there. Right now it's in beta and you have to have an iPhone. If you're on there and you want to connect, I'm Hey BKV. And I don't have thousands of followers there. I'm slowly growing, but I think there's a couple things in there. Like I've seen some people grow, like really rapidly grow fast. And that is, they were always on Clubhouse. And I am a social media expert, but I also protect my boundaries because I am more than just social media. I'm someone who also likes to camp and hike and paddleboard and read and snuggle with my cats and watch reality TV. I can't be on social media all the time because then I'm not going to be showing up as my best self because I need to be creative.
That's like the most favorite thing I heard from a social media expert. You're like so real, this is what I love about you. It's so real. Like sometimes, like I have these questions like, like, do I put my personality in, I'm saying, do I share my life, like me as a mother, I'm saying, like,
because you know what,
okay,
I'll tell you, well, I'll go back to Clubhouse in a second, but here's a little diversion. I'm a social media expert. I promote it like on Instagram, but I'm not sharing images with slides and tips. Like I might put a quote here and there, but everyone else is doing it, so why would I do that?
Thank you for saying that.
Like I like to do what no one else does, and I'm not sharing like I make a reel here and there. Like my reel yesterday was a video of horses. It's not a bunch of tips.
Yeah.
The tips come when you get to work with me, or like when I have an experience, I'll share a story, but it's going to be an image and then my story. That's how I'm showing up. That's how and it works. People are saying, Blair, like I have clients, Blair, I love what you're doing. I love how you're showing up on Instagram. I want to do the same.
Yeah. This is why we have to learn from, someone who really successful at what they do. Like how many followers do you have on Instagram now?
Oh, I think just over 23,000.
I think more than that.
Maybe.
Is it?
23.3 maybe?
Yeah.
Or 23.
Yeah. And those are all organic growth, right?
And I've been growing my account for a really long time. Like years ago, before like Instagram really blew up, I had a couple posts went viral. Like I live in the mountains, it's really beautiful, and I had every so often I have a post that goes viral and I get a bunch of followers. And way back I got a bunch of followers. Now sorry, I want to talk about Clubhouse, so remind me about Clubhouse. But with Instagram, and I actually just talked to someone else about this, people get really hooked on the amount of followers. But you know what? I might have 23,000 followers, but I don't have thousands of people engaging and liking my posts. It doesn't matter. It's better to have quality over quantity. If you have 1,000 people that follow you and most of them are engaged or half of them are engaged or even a quarter, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
23,000 is a beautiful, shiny number. It really fucking doesn't mean anything. Oh, can I swear? And it doesn't mean anything. Like it looks good. And yes, I have lots of people following me, but not everyone engages.
Yeah.
Not everyone's my ideal target market.
Right.
Because I'm someone, when social media comes out, I get it and I try and figure it out. And I think you can be just as successful on social media with a few thousand followers as with 20,000 followers.
Yeah.
And people get really hooked on the numbers, but I'm even more focused on quality of posts over engagement. And like there's stats you have to track, but if I'm posting with integrity and a post is really meaningful, I know the right people will come and see it.
I totally agree with you. I think that's how I would follow someone. It's like, I want to see quality. I want to see they're like good people, or like they're really creative, like everybody have like their niche, and I really love to see that unique, authentic. Like I will, like, if I go to see, like, I love your stuff, so like you have beautiful like imagery of like where you live, you always take, like you said, you bring people in. I think it's so important for us to, if you're going to be on social media, I might as well share, some of those beautiful things about your life that you can share. And it doesn't have to be beautiful all the time. It could be like
I share the hard stuff. Like I share the hard stuff. And everyone's really worried about aesthetic. And I have 2 accounts. I am resilient, like my community of resilience. We follow an aesthetic. It's green and like black and white. And anyways, but my personal one, I follow me. Like I post what I want. And once you give me rules, I want to break them. And I don't think it's kind of, your Instagram's like a brochure to your life. Mm-hmm. How do you want people to perceive you? Like if you are very organized and you have a monochromatic house and you are very monochromatic and you want to have that type of feed, go for it.
Right. I agree. If it's you, but you don't want to put yourself in the box and say you can only use 2 blocks. Like I have hard time with that because I'm not that way.
You're creative.
I'm creative. I'm always inspired by different things every single day, and I want to be able to post every single time meaningful stuff, So I totally appreciate that you shared this from your point of view, from your expertise, that I wasn't crazy.
No, I try to follow I have to post what I want. Like I break rules. Like I'm a good person, but I break rules, even if they're my own rules for myself.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I can't tell myself what to do except for just do what I want. And that's just how I am. But I think it also depends on the brand, right? Like if you're a company that sells mugs, you better make sure you're posting mugs.
Right.
They can be stylized and whatnot, but like, there has to be correlation back to your brand.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think a lot of people get really stuck on aesthetic and themes. And like, if you're someone who has access to content, you have imagery, you have ideas, go for it. Go do whatever you want.
Right. So I have a question about, we're going to go back to Clubhouse in a minute, but I'm really intrigued about your Instagram first. So in Instagram, right? Is there any particular, you said you break rules, and there's a rule that actually help your, matrix somewhat, is it the content? Is it just
you mean the algorithm?
The algorithm, sorry. Yeah. The algorithm. Yeah.
It's engagement. There's a bunch of things and it changes all the time, but the one thing that's never changed is engagement. Mm-hmm. The social media platform, Instagram, whatever it is, Clubhouse, Facebook, they want you to spend time on their program. Not just scrolling, but they want you to like people's posts. They want you to comment. They want you to save people's posts. They want you to share them to your story. They want you to send them to their friends. Mm-hmm. They want you to engage in their stories. They want you to make those posts. So the more time you spend engaging, the better your posts will show up for other people consistently. So like minimum, I'd say 30 minutes a day. Like maybe, at 10 a.m. every day you're making a post. So engage from 9:50 till 10 a.m., make the post at 10 and then engage for 20 more minutes. Do I do that? No, I post whenever I want. But I engage throughout the day.
Gotcha.
I'm taking a break on the patio. I'm engaging. I am in the bath. I do a lot of social media in the bath, sometimes of the bath, like not me, but like the bath water. But like I use my bath time for me to edit photos and then post and engage. Like find what works for you. And if you're like, ugh, I hate this, you know what? There's a VA out there who wants to be hired by you. Because engagement is important.
Right. Makes sense. Thank you so much for sharing that info.
Yeah. Tips. The bath info?
That was a little graphic.
It's funny. I actually just did a photo shoot because I believe in investing in myself. Like I invest in professional development, and a couple times a year I do a professional photo shoot. Mm-hmm. So I don't just post a bunch of selfies. I did it at this beautiful log cabin, and they had this beautiful cloth, like this really beautiful bathtub. And we did a bit of a shoot in the bathtub because I spent a lot of time working in the bath, and it's about depicting my life. So I'm really excited to see how those photos showed up.
Yeah, curated photo shoot like that. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, no, it was awesome. Like we had, because I have a podcast called Dissecting Success. So there was some podcast shots, pictures of me by the fire with a cat and in the woods. Basically just like living my life, journaling, meditating, stretching, just like living my life.
Yeah, that's what I love about it. When I see posts like that, I feel like that inspire me, because like I want your life, kind of like I want to be in your life, kind of thing. And that's kind of like, because I'm always going for, like, personally, I'm going for fulfillment, like fulfilling life, which is integrating like the business and also the personal life in a beautiful way. You're not sacrificing any of the sides, you know what I'm saying? So I think you seems to get a handle of both of those. And I'm actually curious about asking you about, like, how do you, I don't know if the balance is the right word, but how do you balance your life between like making sure that your social media taken care of and then making sure that your life also, is to how you want it, do you have a particular like a schedule or particular like boundaries that you found is useful?
I have more boundaries than a schedule. I depends on the time of year. Like I'm up in Canada and it gets really gloomy in the winter. I'm fine working, not every day, but like if I have to work a bit on a weekend, that's fine. But I think to me, self-care is so important. I'm going on a bit of a personal journey. I've had a lot of loss. My father's really sick and he's about to pass away. I lost my mother in February. I lost my father-in-law. Like I've had some hard things happen. And so what I've learned over the past couple of years, I've stopped drinking and I'm sober and I've really focused on my self-care. And so if something is going to compromise my self-care, I say no. So what does that look like? Well, when I'm in a good flow and it's not like cold out, I wake up and work out regardless. So now I'm now getting back into the swing of waking up, going for a hike, having a bath before I start my day.
Gotcha.
Okay. That's important, which means, does that mean I have to move some clients around? It might mean that. But that's like my spring, summer, fall routine. If I'm tired, I have to take a nap. I go to bed early. So if I know I need to get up at 6 a.m., I need to be in bed by 10, but I like to get in bed at 9, do some reading, some scrolling, ease into bed. I don't want to rush. I don't want to pack my schedule too packed. Like too many back-to-back meetings stresses me out. Eating healthy. Like I've been eating, I'm a stress eater. I became a bagel. When my mom passed away, we got a lot of bagels delivered. Like we're Jewish and we have something called Shiva and people feed you. And there was lots of delicious food, but like I normally eat really healthy to fuel my body and my mind. But, so I'm back to trying to fuel my body with lots of vegetables and protein and just do what I need to do to be healthy. I quit drinking. I write. I have therapists. Right now I have 2 therapists. I have a grief counselor and then I have another therapist. I'm exploring other options. I read books. I listen to podcasts. I do what I can to take care of myself. I say no to something if it compromises my self-care.
Makes sense.
Do I have and like social media, like when my mom passed away, like it's just social media. Like I have more important things to do.
For sure.
I still made posts, but I wasn't pushing anything. I was updating people on my life. And if you look back, you can see the posts. There's old school photos of me, my mom and sister and talking about what happened. And I just think people are so hard on themselves. Like, oh no, I missed a week because I had life happen. It's not a big deal. But some people, and I recommend doing this and I'm getting back into it. And this is what's really worked for me is I schedule content ahead of time. Something like a death, you can't really plan, but I try to have at least a week or two's worth of content scheduled out. So if something happens, there's at least a few posts going out.
I see.
But if you don't have it, it's okay. You'll get back into it because guess what? You're a person. And what you do is you show up, you let the world know what happened in whatever capacity you're comfortable sharing, and you get back to it.
Yeah. So people are very open and very understanding. I mean, your followers, when you're just being honest about it.
Yeah. Like I've talked about my miscarriage. I've been in like fertility issues, miscarriage. I lost my father-in-law and my mom, and I've been open about it. Like I just had a really beautiful experience that I'll share on social media and I'm just digesting the right way to say it. But I just had an appointment with a grief counselor and a death doula, and I got some messages from my mom. Wow. I walked away from that 90-minute session feeling lighter. Like feeling less sad, like a little happier.
Yeah.
And
Blair, you're amazing. Like you have a lot of the losses. Like we actually met and got connected through this. Like you just told me, like, I think we met on Zoom the first time. And then you told me that your mom was sick. And then the next thing I know that she passed, and I'm just like, but I don't know how you have done a great job with your self-care, obviously, because you have this strength, like I have this like peaceful strength about you that I don't see you like crying or like you were like keep sharing your wins
Oh, it happens though. Like
wow, like I was like, how I know you probably do it like behind closed door or anything like that, but
I don't post pictures of me crying on the internet, but I'm honest about it. Like the other day, the lawyer, so I'm dealing with my mom's estate. Like I'm her executor. I'm also the oldest daughter. I'm trying to grieve, but I'm also like the manager of her stuff. A lot of things. And so like I was having a stressful day, like not stressful, but emotional, and I was fine. I didn't cry. And then the lawyer called and needed some information and it triggered me. And my husband was trying to help and I got really upset and I cried. I had a really big cry. And then when I was done crying, I went on social media when I like pulled myself together a little bit later. And I was like, I'm going to therapy today. I'm going to therapy today. And I'm really excited because I just had a cry. So like, I'm honest about it. And like during my appointment yesterday for 90 minutes, I cried for like the first probably half an hour and the last 20 minutes.
Yeah.
crying's healthy. It's like you sweat when you're hot, so you cool your body down. You cry when you're happy or you're sad to regulate your emotions. There's nothing wrong with crying. I just am such an intense crier that I can't show up. But you know what? I've canceled meetings. I've canceled going out. I mean, like I'm okay at this moment, but am I okay? Like, I don't know. No, I'm not. I have trauma, but I show up when I can, and I only take on what fulfills me. I will never be busy again. Busy equals stress and anxiety for me. I suffer from anxiety and depression. I manage those things with medication. And so I made a decision, and I can't remember when it was made, but in the last year, that I never want to feel busy again. So I am fulfilled. And
love that.
Because I'm fulfilled, while mourning my mother, I'm able to show up for interviews. I'm able to teach courses. I'm able to have meetings. And you know what? If a wave of sadness comes in, I'm honest about it. And if the other person has a problem with it, they're not the right fit for me.
I agree. I totally agree. And I think that it took a lot of clarity and courage there. And what was your advice for people that are having hard time deciding that, do you know?
Well, I'm not a therapist. And honestly, I don't I think that's a really deep question. Like, maybe let's narrow it down. Like what, like deciding what to do with business, or like
deciding to let people in and be just vulnerable with people,
it's not for everyone,
so
it's not for everyone. If you're an introvert, that probably sounds terrible to you. Like, I'm someone who, like, my goal is to be on a TED stage where like most people cringe, like, ooh, public speaking, but I love it. Like, I'm a speaker. But I let people in because for me, it's therapeutic.
I see.
It's therapeutic for me. If you're not comfortable with it, don't do anything you're not comfortable with. Ever. Like, if you're, we work with some introverts. It's probably so hard to let people into those most vulnerable moments. But for me, I've always been an extrovert. I've always been the person loudest in the room, saying what's on my mind. I literally came into the world blaring. And so like, that's who I am. If you're open to it, try it out. See how it feels. If it makes you feel good, keep doing it. If you try it out and you're not feeling good about it, don't. And try with something little. Like, you don't need to like give us your deepest, darkest secrets, but share a story. It can be any story. It doesn't have to be super deep and dark and personal from like the back of your closet, like the skeletons in the closet can stay there. Like, you're not going to hear everything of my past. I gotta keep something a secret.
Nice. I love the vibe that you're giving to our audience right now. Like, hey, be yourself. It's okay. You can let people in as much as you feel comfortable with, and also you can keep certain things up as much as you feel comfortable with. And at the same time, I love the fact that you're always open to trying new things, right? And not only that, this is what I love about your courage, is like to say, yes, I'll do that. And then you do the research and you figure it out.
And sometimes I learn, that's hard and I'm not charging enough.
Yeah. Oh, well, next is better. Next time you'll fix it, right? So I love that about you, like how I just feel cozy. I feel cozy like when with your approach. Totally aligned. So thank you for being completely honest and open about that. I think our audience will feel hopefully similar what I'm feeling right now. It's like, I feel like I can be myself. I can be okay with social media. And you just broke it down very beautifully, each of the platform. And so let's go back to Clubhouse, because I think you were explaining about Clubhouse more. And
yes. So podcasts, for example, are great, but like putting on a podcast, like hosting a podcast is a bit of work.
It is. Mm-hmm.
But podcasts, I mean, yours is visual too. You have videos, but sometimes they aren't. Like our Dissecting Success isn't. Mm-hmm. It's just audio. Mm-hmm. But Clubhouse is voice only. So if you have an iPhone, it's in beta. You need to have an invite, but you can go in there and explore. And what I really like about it is you can join all sorts of discussions. You can host all sorts of discussions and have these really beautiful conversations or intense conversations with people you may have never come across. And there's no visual aspect to it. So I sometimes moderate, which means I host a room like weekly. I've been on Monday mornings at 8:30 a.m. Pacific for the past couple of weeks, and probably for the foreseeable future. I've been hosting a room with a few other experts about social media marketing and how to leverage free tools on social media. It's great. When you're a moderator, people want to follow you, but they don't just follow you on Clubhouse. They check the link in your bio. And then, let me retract that. There's no link in your bio. In Clubhouse, the only things that link in your bio are your Instagram and or your Twitter. So people always check me out on both. And what I've noticed since I've been on Clubhouse, whether I'm just an active listener, or if I come up on stage as a speaker or I moderate a room, sometimes even if I'm just in a room listening for an hour and following a couple people who are interesting, my Instagram grows, my Twitter grows, my Clubhouse grows, my LinkedIn grows.
Wow.
Everything grows because I have a link tree set up in my Instagram with all of my important links.
Right.
And because Clubhouse is new and it's not owned by the king of the jungle, also known as Facebook, it's different and people want to check it out. And so the other day, let's talk about what I did my makeup. I pet my cat. I made breakfast. No one has any idea. We're like right now, I'm not doing those things.
Yeah.
I probably could, but but so what I like about it is I listen to a lot of audiobooks and I listen to podcasts. And so for me, it's kind of like in that sphere of I can multitask, like I can go out for a hike. I was hosting a room and someone actually pulled over and raised their hand to speak. And we were talking about social media and it was a lawyer down in Florida. He's like an entertainment lawyer and he deals a lot with NFL players or something like that. And he said, I was out for a ride. Like he was on a road ride. He's like, you guys and your energy just gave me the momentum to go faster. And I just had to say, you guys are just awesome. And I've gotten so much information from this. And it was his first time speaking and listening, but he pulled over while out on a bike ride to talk to us.
Wow.
And so I think, and whenever anything new comes out.
I do love the aspect about you were able to multitask. But you don't want to miss out on some stuff by listening because that is just a time saver right there, I feel like you can maximize your networking.
I mean, and like there's people who literally will sit on Clubhouse all day. Like if you have a bunch of creative stuff to do, you can have it on your phone and you can be doing whatever. But like I also like to listen to music. I don't want to work all the time. And sometimes, you know what I mean? So it's about what flow you're in. Sometimes I listen in the bath. Like if I have a bath at night, I sometimes, and I don't always listen to business. Like I love to listen to talks about psychedelics for PTSD with a doctor panel. I've listened to talks about cats. Like there's something for everyone. It's not just business, but it's a really great place to connect with people. And I've probably landed 2 or 3 like pretty well. 2 or 3 like medium clients, like medium paying clients from Clubhouse who've heard me speak in a room.
How do you pick a room? Like, how do you start a room and how do you pick a room to like land on?
I think that might be a whole nother conversation, but I think you just need to spend time exploring the app. Like you get on and there's something called a hallway, and in your hallway, you can see all these different rooms. So if you close your eyes and you imagine you're walking into a school, let's just use a school.
Okay.
And you're walking into the school and then you're going down the hallway and you look to your left, and in room one, they're all talking about Instagram. And you're like, I don't want to talk about Instagram. And then you look to your right inside a room, through the window, and they're talking about Picasso and Picasso's paintings. And there's 25 people there. You're like, oh, that could be interesting. And then you walk down the hall a bit further and you go to the next room and you look in, you're like, wow, they're talking about cats. And there's 100 people in there. That's perfect. I love cats. I feel like talking about cats. I'm going to go in. So you go into the room, but you don't say anything. So people see you're there, but you can't talk. But then someone starts to talk about calico senior cats. I just say that because that's what I have. And you raise your hand and they invite you on stage. Now you can add to that conversation and you can be someone who inputs your knowledge and your wisdom and your thoughts into that conversation.
I see.
So if you want to host a room, you can start a room and you're immediately a moderator, and you can make other people moderators. It could be on any topic. You give it a subject line and a little description and go for it.
Gotcha. So anybody can start a room basically based on your passion or whatever.
Exactly.
You want to, or conversation that you want to start on. Oh, that sounds cool. And then you can kind of like you can hop rooms too until the final you like to stay on. Gotcha. Awesome. Thank you
and like some people host weekly rooms. Couple, like someone might be like, I host this at this time and this at this time every week. And I was doing 3 or 4 rooms a week, and it was a lot. That's 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, right? Like be really careful with your time. It's really addicting.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, because I do like connecting with people as well. So that's totally true. Totally true. So can I ask you like what you're like focus working on, like what you're working on right now in 2021?
Yeah. So the I'm Resilient Project is a community where people share stories of overcoming life's greatest challenges. People can read and share stories online and on social media. And we have taken a select amount of those stories and we're working on publishing our first compilation, our first book.
Oh, awesome.
So that's really exciting. That's like my big project right now.
Great.
And
when
pardon?
When it will be launching?
Well, in the next few months.
Okay, nice.
My podcast co-host and I, Teresa Lambert, we are launching a 6-month business accelerator for 10 lucky people. We're doing our intimate group coaching. It's called Momentum. So we're launching that early May that starts. So that's my big focus right now besides my book. And I'm just, I got some cool stuff coming up in the fall. I'm going to be launching a program called Empowerment in the fall. So I'm just working on some of the launch details right now. And, mentoring and speaking and writing and just being really creative. I'm going to take from now into the fall to really just be creative, rest, not overdo it. Really, really connect with nature, heal, and use that healing process to create.
Right. That's beautiful. Oh my gosh, I love all your projects that you listed. That's a lot of work, but sounds like it's something that you're very passionate about.
I'm fulfilled.
Yeah, and fulfilled. So what do you think the definition of success to you?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, how do you picture that?
I think success is a feeling of happiness. I think when you achieve a level of happiness with the layers of anxiety stripped down, you're successful. It can be, a little task like you just accomplished, like you finished writing a 500-word article and you're happy you finished. Success. You just did a hike, you feel accomplished, you're happy. Success. I think it's an embodied feeling. It's not about the number in your bank account. It's not about your accomplishments. Like it can be if they make you happy, but some of the times when I've been the most successful as perceived by others, I've been the least happy. And what's the point of making a bunch of money and being miserable? Yeah. And so for me right now, what is happiness? Happiness is being fulfilled. It is making sure I love every project I'm doing, every training I'm taking on to learn, obviously like here and there's little moments of stress because I'm a business owner, but I just want to make sure that I love getting up every day and doing what I do.
Awesome. I just love to hear about this, and you are at that stage. That is some amazing stage, and I agree. Like someone was like, "Oh, you seem successful," and I was like, "I'd rather call it fulfilled," because at the end, that's like to me, fulfilling is a little bit more the destination or the journey part that I'm looking for.
It's funny because Teresa and I actually had an episode where we dissected success, and we came to this conclusion that success isn't a destination. Success is the journey.
Yeah.
And there's just different spots along the way.
Yes,
so it's funny that you said that.
I want to clap on that because I had a video on my Instagram about is success a journey or is a destination? I call it journey.
It is a journey. Oh my God, I love this, Erna.
I love this. Like we're aligned. We're totally aligned.
I love it.
Here. So you guys, join our success journey, right? Because I think every day is that. Every day, today is what we have, So make it the best, successful, fulfilling day, right? So, oh my God, that's amazing. Actually, I have a question about when you were talking just right now about accomplishment that you making you unhappy and stuff. Like how do you, I know you've been like featured in magazine, and stuff like that. Tell us a little bit more about what have you accomplished? What is it that those media accomplishment does for your business or personal life? Like what to watch out for and what to actually be grateful for, that the whole experience.
Yeah. And I have goals. Like, it's so funny. Like there's certain like media outlets I want to be featured in. Like I have yet to be featured in the following, but they're my goals by August 8th to be featured in my expertise to be featured in Forbes and Fast Company. And I'd love to have a TED Talk booked or TEDx talk. But for me, because I use these as resources to learn, to me, it's about being aligned with some of the people that inspire me, because then knowing if I am up there with those people, that I can inspire more people, because my goal is to help inspire more people. But I've had some pretty big media wins. And for me, I believe I was put on this planet to be of service to others, to help people, social media wise, resilience wise. The lessons I learn, the hard lessons I learn, in hindsight, I always find a silver lining. I extract a lesson that I've learned and I share it. And being in media is something that I'm like able to share. Social media knowledge, like what we're talking about right now, I'm not like other social media experts. You see that I'm not, I'm not posting like graphics of tips. Like I am who I am. And so
I'm like so resisting about that. Like I have a little bit, but to me, like I couldn't do it. Then I couldn't give into that.
But I think for me, like getting my word out in the media, obviously it's a great marketing tool and it helps me grow my lists and my following. And it helps position me as a thought leader in the social media space, which is brilliant because that's what I am. I'm a thought leader and I want to help more people. I want to inspire and empower more people. So most recently, Yahoo listed me as a top 10 social media expert to watch in 2021. So that's super cool.
That is very cool.
Because my past 10 years, my job's been doing this for my clients. It's been uplifting my clients. I haven't been focusing on myself, but I made a shift a couple of years ago, and this is my focus. Like I have a lot of information I want to share, and I want to empower and inspire everyone. And a way to do that is by getting recognized in the media, by sharing my knowledge in articles or being quoted in articles. I've been quoted in Thrive Global quite a few times, CEO Business World. She owns it. I've been actually on the radio, CBC Manitoba, which is super cool. And, I'm just working on a couple articles right now. And when they're out, I'll share them on my social media. But I love writing. And when I'm in a good flow, when I'm not in deep grief, I try to dedicate at least an hour of my day, Monday to Friday, to writing and media pitches.
Awesome. How did you get to the Yahoo list? That was a unique one. I feel like I've never heard someone like that I know about the Yahoo list. How did
PR, my friend, PR, yeah. Public relations.
That is so cool. Very cool.
Yeah. I think, there's a lot of opportunities out there, being a guest on a podcast, going to networking events. Like you don't have to, like, you never know where the opportunities are going to come from. Maybe you're like, whoa, Blair, you're on at a networking event with 100 people. And then you connect with someone. You're like, let's get together for coffee. And they might say, you know what, I actually have a podcast. You want to be a guest? You never know. Like you and I made a connection without this in mind.
Right.
Right. So you never know who's going to have an opportunity, but also you need to ask. Right. There's so many podcasts out there. Pitch yourself.
Yeah.
Pitch yourself. If you have an idea and you like writing, write about it. Pitch it to a media outlet.
Gotcha.
I think there's opportunities, or you work with an expert who will help you.
Yeah. Amazing. This is a lot of great info. I'm learning a lot about the different aspects of social media that, I felt a little bit uncertain before, and I think you clarify a lot of things for us and hopefully our audience too,
Yeah. And I think just to leave you on one last tidbit to empower you, a good way to strip it all back is to create a strategy. And I'm going to be dropping some information soon about how to create a proper social media strategy. If you follow me on social media, you can get the goods, but create a strategy. It doesn't need to be super elaborate. Create a plan for yourself, follow it, engage, you'll be okay.
Cool. And you also have some fun things that freebie that you can offer to our audience, right? Can you explain to us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So one of the biggest questions I get from friends, clients, family members, anyone on social media for business is that what do you do when? And so I have a freebie and you can get it on my website, blairkaplan.ca. And on my website, you will find a opt-in to get a stress-free social media checklist. And it's going to break. Yeah. It'll break down.
I'm going to put it into our YouTube as well.
Perfect.
The link so then they can get that access as well.
Yeah. And those lists are for each day, week, and month. And it just breaks down. It's a checklist. It's a super simple list to follow. You don't have to do everything, but it's just, I love lists. I have notebooks. I have Post-it notes. I'm a list queen. I like old school lists. I can write with my hand. If I do a task and it's not on my list, I write it on my list and cross it out.
You too. I do the same thing.
So I've made lists for you.
Awesome. I'm definitely, I think you guys should check that out. I think it's really cool resource. Awesome. Really appreciate your time. If you have have one last thing to leave behind, one action tips that you want to leave to our audience, what would that be?
If you're going to take anything away from this conversation, it's just make the post. There's a lot of people who get stuck on like, I don't know what to post on social media, and they get so caught up that they don't make posts. But make the damn post. If you don't make a post, no one's going to see what you have to say. It's okay if it's not perfect, because no one's going to know you know, if you don't think it's perfect, to someone else it is. So someone else, it might change their life. It might be the next client, the next sale. So just make the post.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Blair, for sharing all of your knowledge, all your experience. I love all the story that you share with us, and also the feeling that I received from your energy. I think it's amazing. And it's like funny that we were starting with talking about social media. Now we even talk about success, how it feels about fulfillment, all this holistic discussion that I think it's wonderful. So thank you so much for sharing, you know, and showing up for us in the most beautiful way.
Thank you so much for having me, Erna. This is brilliant.
Wow, did you guys anticipate what Blair just shared with us today? I hope you are as relieved as I am after hearing that we can simply follow what feels right to us when it comes to social media and how we go about doing it. Each social media has its own purpose, yet it is up to you on how to utilize each of them based on your business, voice, and vibe. So Blair is also the #1 best-selling author of Pulsing Through My Veins, raw and real stories from an entrepreneur and co-host of the Dissecting Success podcast. When she's now working on the board of her local Chamber of Commerce, you can find Blair growing the I Am Resilient Project, an online community where users share their stories of overcoming life's most difficult moments. You can follow Blair's via links below. Now, if you like what you hear from Blair today, please hit subscribe and like or comment if you have any questions. We would love to hear from you. Thank you again for tuning in today. I will see you on our next exciting episode. Stay well, everyone.